few years ago, we brought out a new MCS tight with our muscle mapping technology. It was a discovery we made a few years ago about how we could apply a particular print onto fabric to help increase the power in those particular areas. Our run title exists in MCS collection, which targets the calf muscle and the quad muscles. We're now using this mapping across multiple muscle groups. It's a generation on from what other brands have done as compression evolves into an industry. It was a great opportunity to use the same technology for each sport individually. Every sport has its own muscle groups it uses. Every sport requires different things. The whole mapping of the muscles is most important. And so first of all, we hone down into 5 to 6 sports that need compression the most, and then on what muscle groups within those sports to add extra support to.
We wanted to consult with someone who understood the muscles, the injuries that we could incur from different activities in different sports. So we consulted with Andrew, who had great insight on different sport activities require and what sort of movements.
What I love about having Andrew come on board is that he understands the body holistically, and he's come from a background of treating sporting injuries. These garments are basically built around helping us to prevent injury and recover from injury as well. And his insight into understanding what muscles get injured most easily and trying to target those areas is really important with our development of this collection.
For the sport of basketball, we looked at the latest research on which of the prime muscles that are injured and the ones that are prone to fatigue, extracted the core 3 or 4 and put them in a garment. During basketball, the glute max muscle is used to absorb shock. Primarily, muscles obviously are used to move you around a court, but also the bigger muscle groups absorb a lot of force from the ground. During sudden acceleration, the hamstring muscle group is prone to fatigue and strain. The Achilles tendon and calf muscle is prone to strain during repetitive jumping action. It also is a shock absorber as well and a prime mover in toe lift off. The most commonly strained muscle in basketball. The end result is less calf, hamstring injuries, also optimised performance for the next training day, the next game day. The most common movements in soccer are pivoting, twisting, side to side, torsional movements which put a lot of stress on muscles and the joints as well. We looked at the prime movements involved and we identified 3 different groups of muscles. The adductors used in pivoting and twisting, the calf muscles because players jumping around on their toes, the hamstring muscle group. It's normally on takeoff. This muscle is prone to strain and also when slowing down. The sport of soccer, we do see a lot more hip and groin injuries from players twisting and turning and pivoting out of moves. The Achilles and the calf muscle are prone to strain during repetitive running. Footwork, players are on the balls of their feet and that's when these muscles become activated. If they're overactivated, they're more prone to fatigue, more prone to strain, and hence the reason why we've mapped that muscle too. And the end result was a lower body garment that protects the hip area, the inner groin area, the calf muscles to prevent those injuries and also aid in muscle fatigue and recovery. During the sport of CrossFit, we looked at the most common injuries: deadlifts, squats, lunges. These injuries tend to occur during the power phases and are fatiguing, so at the end of a workout, glute max and some of the deeper pelvic muscles provide support to the lower back during lifting phases, the explosive movements. We've put the glute max in there to offload tension into the lower back. The hamstring muscle comes under load and pressure as well. Sudden movements trigger the muscle to overfire and cause muscle rupture or strain. The gastroc and soleus combined with the hamstring muscle add stability to the knee joint. Let's say you're doing a heavy lunge and the joints and the ligaments of the knee become prone to rupture or strain. We designed an upper body garment for CrossFit as well. We see a lot of shoulder injuries with CrossFit. As an osteopath, what we did was incorporate a cuff around the shoulder to allow the shoulder to still move during some of the heavier weight sessions, but also to offload tension around the shoulder joint to try and prevent rotator cuff injuries and deeper joint injuries. We also included the latissimus dorsi muscle. It kind of blends in with the lower back, which again just offloads tension through the torso and into the back and pelvis. CrossFit upper and lower body garment. This means less injuries. It means less tension on the joints, less muscle fatigue, so you can work out for longer and recover faster for the next day's training. We understand that CrossFit is growing in its popularity. There's a lot of people coming through our clinics with injuries. Although they are getting shown some of the techniques well, muscles and joints are prone to strain and fatigue, so we had to design a garment to prevent those injuries. And also these CrossFit guys are training 4 or 5 days a week, so they want that recovery factor as well. American football involves huge impacts, rapid paced running, pivots and twists, which commonly injures the gastroc quad muscle and hamstring muscle. Specific positions require the player to bob in and out, duck tackles, weave. During those movements, the gastroc calf soleus muscles become prone to strain. Muscle groups in the leg interact together to offload the high incidence of anterior cruciate ligament and deeper cartilage injuries. The hamstring and quad are used in speeding up and chasing the gastroc in takeoff during running. The glute max, TFL, and some of the deep pelvic muscles act as shock absorbers during heavy hits, pushing off acceleration and also slowing a player down. The end result is American football players training harder and being able to get up the next day and perform their activities, minimising those injuries, which could be a career ending or a season ending.
We know that compression is here to stay, and we know that compression within 2 or 3 years will entirely have garments produced just for those sports. So we're the front runner in this. I'm excited about this range. It's been well done, it's been well packaged. We're going to have a great point of sale with it as well. It's a whole new evolution of our compression gear, and it's all forward, onwards and upwards.